Okay, so today is my first video on YouTube. And actually, that's not exactly technically true because I actually have 197 videos on YouTube. But today is my first video as being a serious YouTuber, or starting that journey, beginning to do that properly. Let me explain. So for me, it's kind of complicated because the reason I have so many videos up on YouTube is that I am a performing artist. I'm a playwright. I'm also working in film. I'm a live performer. And so what that means is that a lot of people over the years have made videos of me on stage and posted them on the internet. And so sometimes they'll send them to me, I'll put them on my channel, or they just put them on their channel. So there's actually videos of me all over the place. Like you could find me, just search for Rock Wilk and you'll see videos about me. So when I started to kind of come into this YouTuber space recently, I think it was kind of complicated because I have all these views of performances at the New York Poets Cafe or in different theaters around the country or in films or whatever. And then all of a sudden you see me trying to explain how I use a camera or, doing a review on a lens or something like that. And so I think people were maybe kind of confused, like, what the hell is this guy doing? I don't know what I'm getting. And I actually thought it was a good thing to come here and do as many things as possible. But I've been studying and that's the point of this video actually, and I'll come back to that in a second. So stay with me. But I've been studying really successful YouTubers, And I'm not going to mention any names. You all know them, but I've been studying the top people, the men and the women who are making full-time lives out of doing YouTube, and who make these incredibly focused and really generous videos. And I realized that I need to be more focused myself and pinpoint what exactly people are getting when they come to this page. I'm going to change the exposure here a little bit. By the way, I'm shooting at f2 because it's so bright outside. I just figured we'd focus on my face instead of you seeing what's behind me. And I'm actually sitting in the car because there is so much ice where I live that I literally could not chop the ice off my windshield. I have to sit here and turn the heat on and let the ice melt off my window. But anyway, that's for a whole nother story. So that's the beginning of my story, is that it's very complicated for me. So the other thing that I'm wondering about, and maybe you could help me if you're watching, if you're one of the people that comes to my videos, I'm thinking, should I start a separate page? Do I start a separate page and just leave all this work here? Or do I now focus and just keep the momentum that I've gained from my work and continue on and then keep going as this shift happens with me? I think I'm probably going to keep this page, not create a second YouTube channel, and guide people every once in a while to my website. rockwilk.com is a very comprehensive website. It covers my filmmaking, my theater work, my playwriting, my everything. It covers everything. So every once in a while I'll guide people over to that website if I'm doing something. If I have a film coming out, if I have a play that's opening, something like that, I'll guide you to the website. But I realized that what I'm going to do, I finally really thought about it. I sat down and I took notes and I wrote every night, and I really, really considered, what can I offer you? What can I do for the people who come to my page? Because I realized that the power of YouTube is that for the YouTuber, it ain't about that person, It's about what that person can give to you, what they can provide, what kind of help they can give, guidance, insight, support, whatever. And I realized what I can do. I think my biggest strength as a YouTuber is my work ethic, my journey, the way I approach my process of my art, my work, the way I live my life. That's something I can really, really contribute, because I kind of work like Kobe Bryant or Derek Jeter, or like I am a very focused, hard-working, prepared artist. Like every time I get on stage, anything could happen in that theater. Somebody could, the ceiling can fall through, all the lights could go out, anything could happen. I will not lose my lines, and I'm a solo theater artist. I got to memorize 2.5 hours of words sometimes, which is really hard. But I am so prepared by the time I get on stage that nothing can mess with me. That's why I'm never nervous before I get on stage. I'm actually much more insecure in my regular life than I am on stage, because for me, the stage, that's like the safest place in the world for me, because I'm prepared. And that's what I want to do here. I want to contribute my process and my journey, you know, how I go about things, while also tangibly, and I think this is really cool, tangibly showing how I have shifted into this filmmaking realm. And it happened because of the pandemic. You know, real quick, and I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I was supposed to open a new play on June 12th of 2020. Obviously, the pandemic came, it shut it down. I had spent a year, you know, like 2 years of my life preparing for that play. I was more prepared for that than anything I'd ever been prepared for in my whole life. And I was devastated, like broken. And so, you know, I don't know, I was really depressed. And I figured, you know, instead of just jumping off a bridge, I'm going to make a movie. Now, I'm going to make a movie. That was crazy talk because I had never even owned my own camera. Like, I had my cell phone, obviously, but I didn't know anything about aperture or white balance or ISO or lenses or whatever. I didn't know anything, you know. I did not know anything, but I love film, and this was my only opportunity to be able to do something by myself, to have something to do, creative, while I was figuring out what's going to happen in the world right now, what's going to happen with my life. And so I took my cell phone, which was what I had, and I got on YouTube, and I started following YouTubers who were into cell phone filmmaking, you know, smartphone filmmaking. It's like a real space. And oh my God, I learned so much, you know. And so I started to follow filmmakers so I could learn about those things that I talked about, you know, exposure, ISO, stuff like that. And I'm telling you, in the last 2 years, I have learned more than I have learned in my entire life combined, you know. So, and what came out of that is I wound up making a full-length feature film based on the same story as my play. Now, originally, I was using my theatrical script, but I found that I hated everything that I did for like the first 3 months. It was crazy. Like I felt like I was just making a performance video. It was really no different than anything that I had done on stage for years. And also I had just created a mini series called Brooklyn Quartet, which was based on a play that I did, which was basically, you know, it was basically a performance video. I mean, it was kind of a little bit more than a performance video toward filmmaking, but it was basically me performing. You know, it wasn't really a movie. And I wanted to make a movie, like a visual story. And so, you know, I spent 3 months hating everything I did, but I kept studying. I was on YouTube, I don't know, 8-10 hours every day. I took some online courses. I really learned a lot. I started watching films, you know, like every film that I could think of, I just devoured. I started watching interviews with directors, cinematographers, and I really found that I started to suddenly think like a filmmaker. And so I squashed my entire theatrical script for that project. I let it go, which was kind of like, I had to go through a mourning process in a way, because I had to then let go of all of the memorization that I had done for that play. Because I realized if I continued to hold on to that play, I was not going to be able to move forward and do this film. And so I just let that go. And then I wrote a proper screenplay based on the same story. And the new film became a completely unique story unto itself, completely separate from my play, which is a good thing, because now that play is still a brand new play. Nobody's ever seen it. And this film is a new film, which I finished. And by the way, what started as just something to do, and you know, something to keep myself occupied and kind of maybe get myself out of a depression, became an enormous project, because I also had to study DaVinci Resolve, so I learned how to edit, you know, or I learned as much as I could for this particular project. And then background for me is I spent a lot of years in the music business as well. I'm a musician, a singer, stuff like that. So anyway, I decided, which I've left behind 15 years ago, I completely moved into the theater world. But I decided to reach out to some people I knew from the music business, from my former life, to help me with the music, because originally I was just going to score the whole thing myself, but it took so much out of me to make this film. Like it was, even though it was the most valuable and amazing experience of my creative life, it was also the hardest thing that I have ever done. Like nothing has ever taken as much out of me as making this film. And I realized if I have to score this whole thing myself, I'm never going to finish it. It's just never going to get done. And so I reached out to people from the music business who I knew, who I thought would be appropriate for this project, and I got songs given to me, you know, just donated to me for the film, and somebody who scored it for me, a guy named Steve Peckman, who did a remarkable, genius job. As you know, all the songs are on that level as well. And so, you know, personally, I think I have like the greatest what do they call it, score and soundtrack that you could ever imagine for a film. So anyway, what started as this tiny little project for me to just have something to do that I shot on my cell phone by myself, all alone, with nobody helping me, became a gigantic project and wound up being a 2-hour and 7-minute full-length feature film that I am as proud of as anything I've ever done in my life. I mean, I'm so proud of it. And we've already actually been selected to 3 festivals, which is pretty amazing. It's astounding to me. And so anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this here, and I'm just going to say that I'm probably going to stay on this channel, and I'm going to share my process and also share the tangible steps that I have been taking to learn my filmmaking, which means that I am going to review some lenses, talk about my camera, but I realize too that you have to, if you're a YouTuber dealing with camera stuff and any creative venture, you have to continue to move forward. And so what I'm going to do is talk about process, journey, the day-to-day, scheduling, you know, how you have to take care of yourself, like everything that goes into being the best artist that you could be in any realm. But I'm going to use my process as an example that you could probably and hopefully apply to whatever your process is for anything, whether you're an artist or anything else. I'm going to share mine. And I'm going to be as specific as I can and as focused as I can, and I'm going to pay attention to any comments that I might get. I'm going to try to find other YouTubers on my level to collaborate with if they would be so generous to do that. You know, I don't have a lot of followers yet, so I'm not going to like reach out to Gerald Undone and ask him to like collaborate with me on something. You know, he's got 27 trillion followers, so I'm just not going to do that. But I am thanking him and people like Brandon Lee and, you know, Danny Gewirtz and these amazing filmmakers that I learned so much from. But I know that I'm not there, so I'm not going to obviously ask them to collaborate with me. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I hope you're going to find that interesting. I hope you'll find it of value. I'm really, really excited about it. And I think that I have a lot to offer in that way because, you know, not to sound like an asshole about it, but I humbly say that I have rarely met any other people that work as hard as I work. I'm going to be honest with you, like I work really, really hard. So I don't know, you know, maybe there are a million people who work as hard as I do, but I don't know. And I'm a solo artist, so, you know, I don't really deal with, you know, a lot of collaborators. I mean, of course, I have stage managers and lighting people and set designers and people like that. I've worked with sound people, but, you know, I don't work with crews because I'm a solo artist. So anyway, that's what I feel like I have to offer, you know. I mean, the one thing I always know is that somebody might be more talented than me, somebody might have more access to things than me, but there is never, ever an excuse for me to allow anybody else to work harder than me. That's something that is just a no-brainer for me. Like, it's just easy for me to know that I have given a project everything that I possibly have. And, you know, if the other, you know, if somebody else gives their project everything that they have, then that's awesome. But I know that for me, and not that it's a competition, because it's not a competition, this is not sports, but I was also an athlete in my life, so I do approach my work as an athlete. And I always say, just don't ever be outworked. That's it. Be prepared, get up on stage, and don't ever be afraid, because you know that you have the work in your body. And it's the same thing with filmmaking now. You know, the film that I finished, of course, the work that I do in the future is going to be at a higher technical level. It's going to be different. It's going to be more evolved in many ways. I'm not going to say it's going to be better, because I love the story and I'm very, very proud of the work that we did. But, you know, you always use the knowledge that you accumulate when you move forward. And so I really look forward to what I can do in the future. And so you know what I'm saying. I'll stop now, because now I feel like I'm kind of rambling, which is one of the rules that I've learned about YouTube. Do not ramble. So this particular video, you're not going to see those cuts where I cut things in between to fly through the video and make sure that there's not even 1 second of wasted space. I'm not going to do that now. But I'm just saying that I've been studying the YouTubers. I'm going to take this more seriously. Not that I haven't taken it seriously, but I'm going to be more respectful of the craft, of this art, of being a YouTuber. And here's the possibilities. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I hope you come back, and I hope that I can help you in some kind of way, offer you something from my experiences and from my journey, my process. I'm willing to give everything that I have to you. All right, thanks so much for watching this. If you would, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel. You could hit the like button too. That would be awesome. You would be a superhero. And that's it. Stay well, take care of yourselves, take care of everybody who you love, and here's to a better world for all of us, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Saint? Yeah, Esther. Thanks for the insight into every Latino and Jewish stereotype ever. Why always hold up? Yeah, hold up. Why I gotta hold up? Why even buy into those kinds of stereotypes, Saint? Why even think that's funny? I don't know. You don't know. Well, do you understand that you actually perpetuating this institutionalized racism that's going to continue forever if you don't stop speaking and acting in exactly the way most white people actually expect you to act? Yo, Esther, do you have any self-esteem, Saint? Do you even think about anybody other than yourself? Do you understand that how you act and what you say is actually going to affect me and you and everybody, not only in this neighborhood, but in the entire world? Do you even understand that there is a whole world outside of this little block? Can you understand that, Saint? Can you rap your little Brooklyn is the greatest, most epic, amazing, fantastic, the most magnificent place in the whole motherfucking world, brain around that? Can you do that, Saint? That's Esther Alvarez, yo.